Women are dragged off the street for not wearing the veil?
No, that's not true at all.
It is true.
Well, you can say it's true, but that doesn't make it a fact.
I think most people listening, trying to get a sense from, because you're close to the Iranian regime, I want to get a sense of whether...
What does that mean exactly? I'm close to the Iranian regime. Is that how you introduce academics from your own country?
The corporate news media relies on one fundamental trick. If an anchor speaks with enough smug, polished confidence, they assume you'll just blindly accept their narrative. They set the trap, hit you with loaded buzzwords, and expect their guests to cower under the weight of unearned moral superiority. But they picked the absolute wrong target today. Watch what happens when a mainstream British reporter tries that exact same arrogance on Professor Seyed Mohammad Marandi. Professor Marandi is an academic who actually lives in Tehran. He knows exactly how the Western media game is played, and he absolutely refuses to accept a single one of their loaded premises. She walks into this interview armed with textbook neocon talking points, expecting to bulldoze him. But the second Marandi turns the tables and demands a single source, a single name, or a shred of actual evidence. Her entire authoritative persona completely evaporates on live television. You are about to watch Professor Marandi deliver an absolute masterclass in destroying vibes-based journalism. I'm your host, James Whitmore, and this is the Whitmore Brief. Before we roll this clip and watch Marandi dismantle the Western establishment's media narrative in real time, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you never miss the raw, unfiltered truth they try to suppress. Let's get into it.
What is Iran's policy against Israel?
Yes, because
what is it?
The whole sanction, Iran's position?
Against Israel, yeah.
Yeah, Iran says that Israel is an apartheid state. It is not morally legitimate, and that Palestinians have the right to return, just like apartheid South Africa.
That it shouldn't
and
exist.
Back then,
that it shouldn't exist. It's not. Is that
no?
What you mean?
As an apartheid entity, no.
But
apartheid should not exist anyway. When your government was
I'm just trying to get a sense from, because you're close to the Iranian regime, I want to get a sense of whether...
What does that mean exactly? I'm close to the Iranian regime. Is that how you introduce academics from your own country?
No. In the way that I know that I'm close in terms of having easy access to and contact with and conversations with members of the cabinet. That's all I meant. I didn't mean...
Would you call them the regime?
Well,
would you say it like the...
Do you want to go into that?
Yeah, sure. Well, what's the question?
Well, have there been regular democratic elections that...
No, you were talking about Israel.
Oh, okay, we'll go back
Iran's
to that.
position on Israel?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a sense of whether
Iran's position on Israel is identical to its position on apartheid South Africa. When your government was supporting the supremacist regime in South Africa, the Iranians were supporting the ANC and Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
The same logic applies to Palestine.
Right. So it's not the existence of Israel, it's the nature of this Israeli state. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
That Iran's opposed to.
The state,
not its very existence.
The state could be called Palestine, it could be called Israel, it could be called Walt Disney, but as an apartheid state for Iran, this is not acceptable.
And isn't Iran something of an apartheid state, particularly if you're a woman?
Have you ever been to Iran?
No, but there's lots of countries I haven't been to that I know about, hear about, read about, speak to people about.
It's not an apartheid state. No, it's not an apartheid state.
Women are dragged off the street for not wearing the veil?
No, that's not true at all.
It is true.
Well, you can say it's true, but that doesn't make it a fact.
I think most people listening know that it is true.
I live in Iran. Many journalists come to Iran. Journalists that you can invite, Jewish journalist Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone, invite him on your show. And he's been to Iran just recently for a couple of weeks. He went to different cities on his own with his wife, who's also a journalist. Ask him if any women have been dragged off the streets anywhere that he's been to.
So you're denying that the Iranian government forces women to wear the veil, the hijab?
Well, veil is one thing.
I know it is. That's why I corrected myself. And those that don't want to...
You mean the headscarf?
The headscarf.
The headscarf.
And those that don't want to cover their hair, it's trouble for them, isn't it?
No, nothing happens to them. No, nothing happens to them. And some of my students on campus, in classrooms on campus, they don't wear headscarves. So I think, your understanding.
But is your I'm just trying to get a sense, is your assertion that in Iran, in the last decade, and even more recently than that, not a single woman, particularly a protesting young woman, has been detained and in one case died in custody with wounds from beating because she had her hair shown? You don't believe that happened?
No. Mahsa Amini had no wounds. There is no footage. There is footage of her. And in the footage, there is nothing that shows that she was beaten. She had a precondition. Yes, she was taken in, but she was not beaten for her dress. There is a law in Iran about a dress code, because whether you like it or not, they believe that the way in which the West promotes women is sexualization, commodification, objectification. So they'll have their own cultural boundaries, whether you agree with it or not.
Well, you've said to
whether
me
you agree,
okay,
whether you agree with it or not, it doesn't. That's one thing. But women being dragged off the streets in Tehran, I've never seen that happen myself.
No, but
this
that
is like
mean
when
it
they keep
hasn't
saying
happened,
gays in Iran are executed. I've never seen a gay person in Iran executed.
But
this is sort
that doesn't
of
mean it's never happened. Does it?
No.
Just because you haven't seen a woman being dragged off the streets doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
No, I'm not saying it's never happened.
And you are wrong to say, if I can just say, you are wrong to say that Mahsa Amini had no injuries. She had physical injuries, including a skull fracture and brain edema.
No, she didn't. No.
Well, an independent medical analysis and a UN fact-finding mission determined that she did.
There was no UN fact-finding mission in Iran. Where are you getting this information? What was the name of the UN fact-finding mission team, the name of the person who did this?
I don't have that in front of me, but I can find it for you. But you can say that about any statement that I make.
No, but the thing is that
I could do it back to you.
No, because you can't, because the point is that you have to give me names. If I say in the UK, people are being arrested for saying no to genocide, for having a billboard in their hands, no to genocide, they're being arrested for that. I have to show footage of it happening. And I have to show the law saying that this is how it's done. And when you tell me that if you tell me, has a woman ever been dragged away? I'll say yes. If you say that have people been beaten on the streets by the police, I'd say yes. In protests and riots, it happens. Well, if you tell me innocent people have died in Iran in prisons, I'd say probably yes.
Well, it's interesting.
But when you tell, and I would say the same about your country as well. And I would say the same about your country. But in your country and in the West, the caricature of Iran is very far from reality. And the reason is because of your country's hatred for Iran, which has been ongoing for 45 years. If Iran was so deeply despised, then it should have collapsed by now, so long ago.
But when you say, you ask me...
And then your government and your media is concerned about human rights in Iran, where you support Israel, not you, I mean your government, you support Israel, you help Israel in Gaza, you have the flights that go overhead.
We support the rights of Iranians as well. We support the rights of Iranians.
No, you don't. You actually, you are a country that tries to harm Iranians because you impose sanctions on ordinary Iranians. The maximum pressure sanctions, do you think the maximum pressure sanctions a government minister?
You know the reasons.
They're intended to make ordinary people suffer.
You might not like it, but you know the reasons for that. I mean, can I just come back to you on one thing?
What are the reasons? Because since I don't like it, you should tell me. What are the reasons for the sanctions?
The reasons include the proxy terrorist activity that's been, I would argue, I'm sure you are going to disagree with me, but the proxy terrorist activity that Iran has been involved in for decades.
What are these
now.
Who are
Hezbollah,
these
Hamas, others arming Syria.
So Hezbollah you consider as a terrorist organization, right?
In part.
No. In part?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Is it a terrorist organization?
In part,
is it a terrorist
in the same way that the Republican movement in Northern Ireland was in part terroristic,
in the same way that your government is a
political.
terrorist organization in part. Your government is a terrorist organization.
Is that your view?
That doesn't make sense.
Is that
Either
your view?
you're a terrorist or you're not.
No, organizations can be partly terroristic and partly political. You know that.
Just for your information, Hezbollah was created out of the Israeli invasion of Lebanon. It was a creation of the occupation. Just like the ANC was a terrorist organization and Nelson Mandela was a terrorist according to your government standards at the time, Hezbollah was created when the Israelis invaded Lebanon and took Beirut.
But you do know, surely, as an academic, that organizations can be terroristic and political and have wings which are both, and social as well. The Republican movement in Ireland certainly did.
So you're saying that the political wing of Hezbollah is not a terrorist organization?
It has connections to a terrorist organization, yeah, but it operates on different levels.
So it's not a terrorist organization?
In part, it is.
Look, I know you don't want to answer the question. From our perspective, Hezbollah is a national liberation organization that has recovered the South Lebanon and saved Lebanon from Israeli occupation and colonization. And Hezbollah's sin is that it supports the Palestinian people. Hezbollah has been resisting the Israeli regime, and it opposes the regime and the ethnic cleansing and the genocide. Your government, your media supports the genocide. You like Israel, you like what they do, and you consider them to be in your camp. Obviously, we have huge differences because Hezbollah has not carried out mass slaughter, and Israel has. And your government supports despots, countries that have zero elections, but they're not regimes.
But Hezbollah did carry out mass firing of missiles into Israel as well, just to report a fact back at you.
Israel invaded Lebanon multiple times. It took Beirut, and Israel bombs intentionally apartment blocks in Lebanon. Just today, it destroyed houses in southern Lebanon. Almost every day, it carries out assassinations.
I'm just making the point that the fire isn't just in one direction.
It's actually, you're proving a point. You're proving a point that the Israeli regime, which carries out murder and slaughter, is normal, and it is not a terrorist organization. But Hezbollah, when it responds with far less fire capability and without killing all these civilians as the Israelis do, they're the terrorists. Or partially terrorists.
And
that standard of yours, that standard of yours, and it's not just you, it's your country, it's your government, it's the entire Western political establishment, is the problem. It is the problem in our region.
And a problem
because you are choosing despots and you are choosing regimes that carry out ethnic cleansing as your allies because they serve your interests.
What Professor Mohammad Marandi just did there should be studied in every debate and media class on the planet. He didn't yell, he didn't lose his cool. He just surgically dismantled the entire foundation of Western media hypocrisy without breaking a sweat. Notice exactly how Marandi controlled that room. The moment she tried to frame the conversation using the weaponized word regime, Marandi stopped her dead in her tracks. He didn't just defend himself, he attacked her framing, asking if that's how she introduces academics from her own country. When she smugly rattled off severe medical accusations about Mahsa Amini, Marandi called her bluff. He demanded the name of the UN fact-finding mission she was citing so confidently, and she completely froze because she had absolutely nothing to back it up. But Marandi's most brilliant move was how he held up a mirror to the establishment. He forced this reporter to confront the reality that Western governments impose brutal, maximum pressure sanctions designed to starve ordinary Iranian civilians while simultaneously pretending to be their moral saviors. He weaponized her own country's history in Northern Ireland to expose just how ridiculous and selectively applied her definition of terrorism really is. Professor Marandi proved today that the second you strip away the smug accent and demand actual facts, these corporate anchors have absolutely nothing left. The era of journalists reading intelligence agency scripts without being challenged is officially over. I want to hear from you down in the comments. What was your favorite moment of Professor Marandi's takedown? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button to help us push past the algorithm, and make sure you're subscribed for the next breakdown. I'm James Whitmore. This is the Whitmore Brief, and I'll see you on the next one.